Welcome to Drone On. I am your host, Bryce Bladon, and today I am joined by Daniel Whitfield. Daniel, thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure, Bryce. Thank you for having me.
Today, I wanted to talk to one of the pilots on the world's largest drone imagery network. For context, Daniel is one of the pilots who has now mapped over 6 million acres with over 6,000 pilots on the network and over 160,000 successful missions flown. Daniel, I'm curious how many of those are yours. Why don't you tell me about yourself and how you got into drones?
Okay, certainly. So about 990 of those missions are mine. I got into drones back around 2014, so about 11 years ago. Started off building drones on those old DIY kits. Ever since I loved it. I took a bit of a hiatus around, around 2017. I kind of got out. And then when I learned about Spexi, it lit the fire in me, and I just went with it. Spexi motivated me to get my Part 107, which eventually elevated me to this job where I get to be on top of the world.
That's fantastic. So what do you do now?
Now I am a DFR drone first responder. So let me basically switch the screen around so you can see. I have permission to do this, by the way, for anyone. See here, I'm on a helipad. I basically, I send a drone up, respond person, locate somebody that's maybe stuck somewhere, protect the police, get there to get eyes on the ground. So in case police are bad situation, generally first responder stuff, just making sure everyone's safe, the community's safe, and getting the drone out there.
Hell yeah, man. How long have you been doing that now?
I've been doing this now for about 2 months, 3 months.
Up to this point, what would you say has been like the most memorable flight or project or even job you've had doing this sort of work?
Well, I would say it's two. Okay, the first time I went up to San Francisco for Spexi, I just enjoyed seeing the new sights. It was just fun. I just got an overall sense of just this sense of wonder, excitement, this sense of just new accomplishments, just going new places. And that really lit the spark. And then I guess the second most exciting work was when they launched in the Bay Area in Oakland. I just found it so fun racing against pilots. That's what made me so good, is that competitive aspect of trying to beat everybody around you. That's what made me so good at this job. And I love that, just that competitive fight and that spirit that Spexi instills in you.
That's excellent, man. I'm really interested in how you went from like that first drone to, literally sitting on top of a roof with your little robot on standby, ready to act if needed. Like you hit on the slightly competitive nature. What would be your advice for somebody who sees your journey and is like, oh, that's where I want to be. I want to be wearing sunglasses on top of a roof.
My advice would be, you got to have ambition, but you got to have kind of a spirit of wonder. You want to just like push for what hasn't been done before. You want to be that person that is not afraid to go beyond the boundaries to accomplish what hasn't been accomplished. So that's what motivates me, is just pushing to go where others haven't. That's what I think that's the type of spirit I have.
What makes this sort of work different? Like why is that necessary? How is drone services different from other work?
I would have to say, from what I've seen with newer people, what makes it different is your ability to stay calm under pressure, your ability to control like your response to things, because sometimes things are going to go wrong and you got to be able to react quick. So basically, quick reaction to a situation, that's what makes it different. I think, being able to deal with things that go wrong is always a good trick because you can always be able to have a quick response to something. Why you need that, I think there's a lot of pilots, so it's just a competitive nature. Just with anything, like to be able to try to beat the next person, you want to have that competitive spirit where you're like, I'm gonna be first, I'm gonna outdo you. It's a healthy competition so long as it doesn't get to a negative realm, but it's a good type of mindset to have because it makes you go further or want to go further. And by proxy, you kind of push each other to elevate and get better. It's like going to the gym. Like if you're lifting more weights than the next guy wants to push himself, he knows he can't lift that weight. So that's what I'd say kind of gets you.
Interesting. So you're hitting on something interesting there for a guy who, when I think about it, you're part of a community too. Like the reason I was able to connect with you is we're both in the same Discord community. So what's the interplay between that competitive nature you're hinting at and what I've actually run into, which is a very sweet man? Help me run those two things together. Like, what does a decentralized community, I guess, work, and how you collaborate and how you compete too?
Well, to hit on one aspect, the decentralized community, that's unique because I am heavily involved in Deep End. I'm in quite a few different projects, but I would think you connect and you're a part at the same time. You're building something together, but each individual person has their own part to play. So I think that competitive nature, as long as it's healthy, I feel it helps you to grow personally.
Let me take us down to brass tacks. What is your average work week look like as a drone pilot? What are you doing? Walk us through it.
Well, my average work week here is it's two. Mainly, sometimes I'll do Spexi, but when there's missions in my area, so those are fun. But for this particular job is basically teleoperating with another pilot. So, the officer will operate the drone. I'll make sure to scan for airspace to make sure there's no low-level manned aircraft around that could potentially collide with the drone. So, of course, I'm always checking my radars, things like that. But basically, getting a call, any emergency call, you make sure everything's clear. You send the drone up. You make sure the officer's good. The officer will teleoperate. Sometimes if they need to get to a scene quicker, I'll need to fly the drone. That happened last week because they have a speed limit, but I can operate it faster. I get up to about 45 miles per hour. So sometimes they'll give control of me. Sometimes I'll need to control the camera. So just basically every day I work for about 10 hours per day. I just make sure to operate with the officer. We communicate back and forth and then basically send the drone out for any emergency response that comes in. Make sure everything's okay. Make sure the police are safe. Make sure any missing person is located. Just any other, like a car accident. Try to get eyes on, to the perimeter where it's set up and basically just bring the drone back once it's safe, swap the batteries. If we have a longer mission for, say, an hour and 30 minutes, bring it back, swap the batteries, send it back out, do it again. And that's basically my week.
Quite a week. Walk me through the LayerDrone experience, though, or the Spexi app experience, because that's obviously an entirely different thing. Not every Monday you're waking up and necessarily taking on a Spexi mission, but a lot of folks listening to this probably haven't even seen the app, let alone necessarily flown a drone with it. So let's talk about that real quick. What does that experience actually look like?
Spexi has been quite an enjoyable experience. Basically, set the drone up in your particular Spexi guide. You try to get the best location you can so you can make sure to have the optimal connection with the drone. You send the drone up, it catches, does its either multi-panel or your mapping missions. It goes from each waypoint, it captures the mission or the photos, and then it goes around. And sometimes I like to move with the drone safely, of course. I move with it to the next Spexi because I don't like to bring it down because I get the most flights with each battery that way. So I'll try to move to the next Spexi, capture that Spexi, and move to the next. Third, sometimes I like to be in the middle, towards the middle, so I can move to the next one quickly, and then move to the next one. I'll capture 3, bring the drone down safely, swap the battery, go to the next one, send the drone back up, of course, and launch it back up, goes, captures that Spexi, move to the next one, and then move to the next one. And that's how I optimize my strategy to capture as many Spexi as possible.
It seems like a good strategy. And how often do you get paid?
Every 2 weeks on Thursday.
Oh, wow. So that part of it is like a pretty normal job. Okay. Well, Daniel, this has been a great conversation. I have 2 more questions for you. Question the first, how can people follow you or follow up with what you do? Or how would you like them to, if at all?
Oh, if you want to follow me, you can just follow my nickname, which is CloudyConnex. It stands for the cloud and connecting people. That's what the nickname is for. I know some people get it confused with something else. But yeah, you can just look up CloudyConnex and you can find me. Or my YouTube channel is Aerial Cinema. So you could go there and find me as well.
Excellent. And we will be sure to include the links to those in the show notes of this episode. Before I let you go, I actually now have 2 questions. First question, what would be your last piece of advice or thing you'd want to make sure people know about either working as a drone pilot or what you get out of it?
So my first piece of advice is don't give up. You're going to have situations where it's going to seem quite difficult with drone problems. My second piece of advice, You said what inspires me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the sense of wonder, the sense of going new places you can't normally go. I think that's what inspires me, like seeing things you couldn't normally see. I always want to go where others haven't been before.
Very cool. All right, final question, optional. We have a few segments on this show, one of which is called The Bryce is Wrong. Now, admittedly, you don't know me, but what I do is I tell you 3 things about my professional experience, and you try to guess which one is a lie. Do you want to play The Bryce is Wrong?
Let's go.
All right. Statement 1, Bryce got in a fight with a goose and lost. Statement 2, Bryce is a licensed helicopter pilot. Statement 3, Bryce's last full-time job ended up with his project getting murdered on The Simpsons.
I'm gonna go with number 3.
You would think, but actually I cannot legally fly a helicopter. If you are curious about that. So the last, maybe the Treehouse of Horror prior to the last one. Yeah, I think it was 2023. I made something called Crypto Kitties in 2027. It was parodied on Treehouse of Horror. I think it's 34. There's so many of these things now. Called Cuddle Kittens. Marge Simpson basically just goes through a train car murdering all the cats I made about a decade ago. I really wanted to be in The Simpsons when I was a kid, and a monkey paw curled and made that happen for me.
Nice.
Thanks, man. It's I guess, I was going to say this is an opportunity to humble brag, but I'm not sure I should have led with losing a fight to a goose, which is a real thing that happened when I was a child.
I can't believe you lost a fight to a goose.
I was small. And a Canadian goose, they're not small. Man, I was 3. I walked too close to a goose's nest. The mother goose, I assume, got very upset at me, started chasing me. And then I know it's hard to tell right now, but I actually had curly platinum blonde hair as a kid, and a lot of it. And in attacking me, the goose's feet got tangled up in my hair. So I kind of looked like 2 kids trying to sneak into a movie theater, but like Cthulhu style. So yeah, it was probably the biggest shame of my life that I just shared with you, Daniel. So with that, thank you so much for your time on this call. And I really appreciate you sharing all your experiences with us.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure. It's fun talking with you. You have a good one.
It was an absolute pleasure, Daniel. Thanks for listening to Drone On. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts to get a new episode every week. And leave us a 5-star review on your podcast app of choice. You can learn more about our sponsors at Spexi.com, that's SPEXI.com, and LayerDrone.org. Find out how you can contribute to the world's largest drone imagery network too. Thanks again for listening.